What's going on, guys? I will go over the trade that I took today that netted me 880 bucks. So, initially, what I was looking at was the daily time frame, and I saw that we had this daily bullish gap down here that we needed to tap into. I was anticipating this to be the draw for NQ, and you can see the low was taken by like a few ticks. And so, once that occurred, I was now looking to be bullish until London highs. And so if you look on the 15-minute, you need to go and replay. If you look on the 15, you can see we have a London sell. So now I'm anticipating the New York reversal profile. We are below midnight and the monthly open, so we're in a deep discount. And all we were waiting for was this daily fair value gap to get tapped into, and then a lower time frame signature and price. So what's important to note is that the Asia low was right here, and if you look, you can see that we're not really displacing through one, Asia low, and two, any of these old lows down here. So if we're failing to displace through these old lows with the daily fair value gap getting tapped into, and if you look in the 5-minute time frame, you can see we get a 5-minute break of structure, and more importantly, we get a 5-minute change in the state of delivery here, creating this series of up close candles as a breaker, and these two down close candles are your bullish order block. So we have multiple pools of liquidity getting swept. You can see here a bunch of clustered stops. We have our timed liquidity pool, Asia, failing to get displaced through. You can see the candle bodies on the hourly are failing to close outside of the range as well. And you can see this hourly candle that closed at 9 o'clock was an open low, turtle swooping this low, and stabbing into our daily fair value gap. So with all of that in mind, I was looking on the 1-minute time frame. We'll make this red. So this is our pool of sell side. This is our daily fair value gap low. And we have our 5-minute order block. So as soon as we got, this actually was the sign for me that I was already looking for. We also had bullish SMT with ES as well. You can see right here. I'll have to go back a little bit, but this is also what solidified the move being confirmed in my opinion. So right here, you can see we both make new lows, but ES never taps into the daily fair value gap that was down there. So that's a bullish signature and price. And you can see we get this 1-minute change in the state of delivery here at 9:48. And so now we also get a short-term market structure shift. And price is so bullish right at the 950 macro that it just barely taps into this 1-minute fair value gap and displaces higher. Now we have this bearish fair value gap on the left side of the chart acting as an inverse. Once again, price barely comes into what levels? The same old pool of sell side liquidity, and you can see it's the very high of this once SIBI now turned inversion fair value gap. Price displaces higher, and since we got this explosive candle here, barely tapping into this 1-minute fair value gap right at the 950 macro, inversing this fair value gap, and we already had the framework outlined with the daily SMT, our daily gap getting broken. We have a 1-minute break of structure, 1-minute change in the state of delivery. And if you look on the 5-minute, once again, you can see at 950, we close, creating this breaker and the order block. So once I saw that, I knew that I needed to get in pretty quickly. So all I did was enter in this first fair value gap up here. I was looking at these entire series of down close candles right here, and this up close candle would be our fractal breaker. And once we already know we have our order block here and our breaker, so we can just mark out these two. We'll call that the order block, but it's also a breaker as well. You can see price is very bullish. If I continue to play price here, we never even tapped that 5-minute open. And so I got filled right here at 44. Stop loss was at the this 1-minute fair value gap low, because if I knew that we had all these different PD arrays, that I wanted to see this fair value gap CE stay open. And we also had a 5-minute fair value gap there as well. So there is the CE right there, and you can see price never even got into that. And if I take away this order block and breaker, look at the candle bodies respecting this fair value gap up here. So all I was waiting for was time to do its thing. We were kind of just chopping here for a while, but once I saw this, I knew I was on sides. So the first thing I did was I partialed. I do have to work on my partialing, but that is the least thing that I want to be worrying about, right? At this point in time. The first partial was at the high of this 15-minute fair value gap, which necessarily wasn't a bad thing, but should have taken off 3 contracts here instead of 5, if anything. This would be a 1-to-1 trade here. And my next few scales weren't till much later. So my next scale was actually this regular trading hours high, just because I wasn't entirely sure if price was going to give me the move, but I do understand why price did move the way it did. So I was looking at these relative equal highs right here at 599.50, and this was also yesterday's not PM session high, but the 350 during that macro time high. So not a bad, and it was also right by midnight, so that's also why I partialed there as well. Only took a few off. I was 7 contracts off now. I took 2 here, and then I ended up taking the rest of my position off at the first London high, which was right here. Not right there. Let me delete this. Right here. This is the first London high. You can see at 745. Partial there. Found a little resistance there, and then price continued to rip. And this is where I took off my last contract right there. And you can see once price took that out, didn't go too much higher. Went about 40 points higher, which is not something I was interested in. But this is all about just following your trade idea, having the daily or your key level being hit, and then just entering off of the entry model that you resonate with, right? Because the entry model doesn't work or doesn't matter. And just paying attention to what price is giving you, right? You can see the failure to close outside of this fair value gap is telling me that we are still bullish, and you cannot have consolidation reversal. You have to have consolidation expansion. So if we have all the framework outlined already, this is just telling me that all we're waiting for is price, or is time to do its thing. And you can see we get this impulsive candle right at the end of the macro. And when does price pretty much put in the high a day? Right at 11 o'clock, right? That's not random. That's also during that 10:50 to 11:10 macro. So pay attention to that as well. But this is a very simple framework and outlook of the trade that I took. As soon as my first take profit got hit, I did move my stop to break even, just because I did see these PD arrays now become created. And once again, the price just continued to chop inside here. Look at the candle bodies once again, and then price spooled towards all my take profits. But that is all for this video. This is a classic New York AM session reversal after that London sell-off into our daily fair value gap. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.